Okay, so today we're looking at a case study, and this is the UK's role in a global conflict. And the case study that I'm going to be talking about, that we've been looking at, is Ukraine. This comes from the UK in the 21st century topic, and in particular looking at the global significance of the United Kingdom. And the exam board tells us that we need to look at, we need to examine the UK's political role in one global conflict through its participation in international organisations, and we're looking at the Ukraine. So where is the Ukraine? The Ukraine is located in Eastern Europe. It shares a border with Russia, and if we zoom in, we can see that Ukraine here, and we're not interested in all of Ukraine. The conflict mainly was in Crimea, and you can see on the map here how Crimea is attached by land to both the Ukraine and both also to Russia. You can also see that it's fairly isolated from the centre of Ukraine, or certainly from the capital of Ukraine, which is Kiev, which you can see in the north of Ukraine. So why was there conflict? Prior to 1991, both Ukraine and Russia were part of the Soviet Union. In 1991, the Soviet Union broke up and they became independent countries. There have been divisions in the countries since then, with the west of the country being more European and the east being more Russian, which isn't surprising because you can see on the map that the east is closer to Russia, the west is closer to Europe. But in 2014, the pro-Russian leader was forced out of office in Kiev, and this annoyed Russia, and Russia responded by taking control with their military of the Crimean Peninsula, again that area in red. And we can see that just there. This conflict's also spread to some other areas, but the main area we're interested in is the area of Crimea. Once Russia took control of the Crimea Peninsula, there was an election, there was a vote, and Crimea did vote to join Russia. However, this referendum isn't entirely recognised, and it's not entirely recognised because there's a kind of a disagreement over how fair and free it was. So this conflict spread to other parts of the Ukraine. These kind of uprisings, a lot of people have argued that they're supported by Russia, but Russia doesn't think it's done anything wrong, but the West supports Ukraine. Now, the exam boards asks you to think about the role of the United Kingdom as a member of different organisations. So the United Kingdom is a member of the European Union, or certainly was a member of the European Union in 2014 when this took place. The United Kingdom is a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, and it is also a member of what was known as the G8, but now known as the G7, the Group of 8 or the Group of 7 countries. So what did the UK do as a member of the European Union? As a member of the European Union, it imposed sanctions, so penalties, and these were financial penalties on banking, on energy and defence. So it made it harder to trade with Russia. It made it harder for Russia to make money from trading. There were also travel bans on some individuals, banning them from entering the European Union, and also some assets held in banks have been frozen, so wealthy individuals couldn't access their money in banks within the European Union. And this had an impact, and one of the impacts is this reduced foreign investment in Russia by $75 billion, or about 4% of Russia's GDP. The UK also is a member of NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organisation, and NATO condemned, they came out and said Russia's military intervention was wrong, and there was a NATO task force, and the UK provided troops to this NATO task force, and they put troops on the Ukraine border to prevent the Russian military going further into the Ukraine. Was this effective? Well, Russia hasn't taken over all of Ukraine, but some people would argue that it's aggressive. It could cause Russia to retaliate, and it hasn't caused Crimea to be given back to Ukraine. So the UK is also a member of the G7, or what was the G8. The G7, the group of seven, is a group of countries that work together to discuss politics, economics. It's made up of ACs, advanced countries. The members are Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the United Kingdom and the United States. In addition, the EU joins but isn't part of the G7. And Russia joined this group in 1998, but they were expelled or kind of kicked out in 2014 after they took control of Crimea. So now Russia no longer has a seat at the negotiation table of the G7. So was the UK's intervention in the Crimea effective? Well, no, Russia still controls Crimea. However, sanctions have had an impact, and we could argue that the economic sanctions of the European Union have had a greater impact than the military intervention of NATO. So that's the case study. I'm going to put on the link a couple of news articles that you can read to help improve your understanding. And there's two potential exam questions. A 4-mark exam question outline the UK's role in one global conflict. And another question, an 8-mark question, to what extent is the UK's role in international organisations effective at resolving global conflict?